Hi, this is Paolo. 2 days ago, I had the great fortune of meeting Tea Master Paul Lim. He's called very affectionately Grandpa. He's one of the first people in Malaysia that started to really research and teach and study about tea. I think among the people that speak English, he's probably literally the best you could find. Of course, there's many more that speaks just Chinese, but I cannot speak that directly. So I was extremely lucky to meet him. And I just want to draft down to put down in video a few of the things I talked about with him, hoping this could be useful to others. So the first one was about, first, he judges tea by aftertaste and sweetness. Now, when I ask, but there are some old tea that are only sweet and don't really have bitterness, and they're not very interesting because of that. His response was, well, yeah, this bitterness will turn into gan, which we also... So gan is a taste, a Chinese taste basically between bitter and sweet. Particularly in tea, often you get hui gan, the returning sweet, after the bitterness. So his point was, well, if a tea is just sweet with not much else, usually it doesn't have the gan taste either. So in that sense, the system works. So we judge a tea by the sweetness and then the aftertaste. And the aftertaste, not necessarily the intensity, but how deep it goes. And by this I understand possibly in the throat, but also how much it stays in the mouth as well. So this is how he judges tea. Now, we went into a very interesting thing about aroma. So his theory, all of this is as I understand it, any mistake is mine, obviously. Anyway, his theory being, it's not the intensity of the aroma that matters, but how deep it goes up into the nostrils. So I got some teas there. This is a normal factory cake from 2006. So I'm inhaling slowly, and actually the smell doesn't go much more far than here. Now, this is a 2023 Guilin from Chen Yonghao, Gushu. The intensity of the smell is a bit more, but more important than that, it goes a little bit more up in the nostrils. It kind of arrives up to here. I've had teas that go even more, as I remember. I got another one here. This is Chen Yonghao Chawanshu. Let's see what this does. Similar. And the other thing so the first thing to pay attention is how far does it go, and the second thing slightly less important is it smooth, or does it kind of stop a little bit? Stop, go, stop, go, stop, go. Okay, now you gotta go and find some tea that you think is really good. Well, particularly in the sense of Gushu. Gushu will do this so much more than older tea will. And some that is kind of normal, and you have to try this experiment. Otherwise, it's kind of, I show it to you, there's not much more I can say. So this to me was pretty interesting. Of course, we think very often about, I thought very often about checking how deep the aftertaste goes in the throat, but also the aroma goes in the nostrils. Is this, another side of the same coin. I wish I had some other teas around to try, but yeah, certainly the difference between this and the factory cake in just in terms of how deep it goes into the nostril is pretty obvious. Another concept he told me was that the taste of tea is shan, ku, gan, xuan, tian. Probably mispronounced. So first there's the fragrance, then there's the bitter, then there's gan, which is a taste between bitter and sweet. Then there is xuan, which is sour, and then finally tian, sweet. This means a little bit of sourness is not particularly a defect in pu'er, and in fact is to be expected. I must say that particularly with Malaysian storage, this seems to be true. I have not noticed this as much with Taiwanese and Chinese store flavors, Chinese store teas, this kind of sour taste. In fact, to a Taiwanese, often too much of the sour taste is a defect. Oh, one more thing to say about the smell. I did an experiment with two yancha. Master Lim let me smell, and it was interesting that one of them. So I think it was a Shuishan and Tiluan. The Tiluan, the intensity of the smell wasn't very strong. However, when I did smell it, it did go up more, and also it covered the previous smell very, very easily. But the reverse wasn't true. If I smelled the Tiluan first, actually the Shuishan is like super, super fragrant. However, the smell of the Tiluan is still a little bit there. So, you know, much the same as aftertaste. You can also see how good a tea is by how long the aftertaste or the after aroma persists after you've, in the case of aftertaste, drunk something else, or a lot of time has passed. In the case of aroma, time has passed, or you smell something else. So not just how deep it goes, but also the persistence of it is important. So much about the smells and the technical thing. Something else he said, which I'm still mulling about, was, well, the Tao way is that as you progress in tea, you should use less and less. As in, use less amount of leaf. It's very interesting. There was a Tai Chi master around there. And anyway, he said, oh, this isn't the Tao. And the Tai Chi master was like, yes, chapter 22. Leaving that aside, I'm still mulling about this. Yeah, it's a very interesting question. I have perhaps started using a little bit more tea progressively, but not that much. But I started brewing a little bit more and more intense with time passing. And I see people brewing much stronger than I do. I mean, some people like really, really go for it. And some people that have just started actually are very happy with like 3 grams in a 120 teapot like this. And actually, Master Lim himself, I mean, he was using absolutely extraordinary teas. I've written down a list, but besides, well, the 4 that were like the main stars were like a 600-year-old from Mengai, 1,700-year-old from somewhere else, Puer, I think. These are trees age. A 60s cake and then a 100-year-old Puer. Oh, something like this. Looks a little bit like this. Oh, by the way, the smell of this is pretty deep as well. Like it goes up quite a lot. Yeah, this stays quite a lot. It's not clear to me if age would make aroma and aftertaste be more. I think it's mostly tree age that does that actually. Well, certainly 90% or more is tree age. Whether aging influences that, I'm unsure. I don't think it does. I will ask tomorrow when I meet him again. So yeah, we had these teas with him, and you know, I think he didn't use very much, like maybe 3-5 grams for like 7 of us, and they were still like really, really strong. Yeah, I don't know what to think about this yet, but I just wanted to capture this less is more, and it is the Dao way that as you progress in tea, you drink less tea. Right. Cool. Well, I hope this has given you some food for thought and skills, possibly, with the aroma thing. It certainly was helpful for me to write it down, to capture it in video anyway. Cool. See you soon.